Welcome to Candid Conversations. Today we're talking about our health, both inside and out. Our guests are going to help us understand that what we eat and what we actually do to our skin affects the way we feel and how we look. But first, there are a couple lovely ladies right here, and you know them, Becky Lantry and Gary Brienda.
Hi, Dina.
Hi, ladies. How are you?
We are back.
Yes. We are back.
And we're talking, what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the way we feel, the way we look, and the horrible things that we do to our bodies.
I know. Just to keep up the maintenance alone on that, right?
High maintenance.
Inner beauty, outer beauty, attitudinal beauty. But I have to say, all in all, there's a movement toward a holistic kind of beauty that I'm seeing. Okay. It's kind of like eating well, living well, taking care of your mind, your body, your spirit. Of course, taking care of your external through makeup and skincare and perfumes and fashion and all this. But I'm seeing a little bit of a shift now. Okay. Kind of this idea of a comprehensive beauty. Okay. You know, inside and out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really true. It's really true. When I turned, I think, 13 or 14, I was allowed to wear makeup. Wow. I was so excited about it. I got powder pink lipstick, light blue eyeshadow. I look like a clown.
But you love playing with all the colors, right?
I had a great time with it, but Tammy Faye Baker had nothing on me. I mean, I looked horrible. But now that I'm older, it's become a chore to do these things.
Wow. You know what's interesting is I love my nieces. I have two young, adorable nieces, and I've noticed with women and girls, it's a bonding thing. You know, it's like, oh, let me do your shadow, let me do your lipstick. It's the way in which young girls connect, and it's also a way in which they're defined at a young age, you know, like kind of primping and preparing and doing this, and it shapes the way they're perceived the rest of their life. It's interesting, right? All the different facets of beauty.
It's really true.
I've never done that.
No?
Never, Becky? I love it.
No, my mother was not a makeup person.
Really?
Nope.
Wow, but I'm sure there were skincare regimens, like just keeping your skin, nothing.
Oatmeal soap, that was it.
Simple and clean.
Just a natural beauty, basically.
My grandma,
that was it.
Yeah, my grandma was all about oil of Olay. And you know, when she passed away, she didn't have one wrinkle on her face. Nivea cream and oil of Olay was my grandma.
Wow.
You know, there's a little bit of old school, new school, but it's exciting. And we have some great guests today, too.
We do have fabulous guests. And in fact, we are going to get right to the show because we do have fabulous guests, so don't go away.
Riding a bicycle can seem like child's play.
But only if you're playing indoors.
Riding in the real street has real consequences.
Play it safe. Ride by the rules. Cars and bikes need to play together.
We're now being joined by dermatologist Dr. Tanya Cormelli. Dr. Cormelli, thank you so much for being here with us.
It is my pleasure. Thank you.
Oh my gosh, this is so fantastic. And here it is. We're starting the summer or the spring. It's that time of year and our skin is exposed. What is the most important thing we need to do for our skin?
Well, I think that's a very good question. It's probably one of the most frequently asked questions. And I think we start off by saying your skin is an organ, like anything else, like your kidney, liver, they're all organs. So we have to sort of regard the skin as an organ and think about how do we protect it. And because it's an organ that's facing the outside world, we have to protect it from environmental harm. Too much wind, sun, dryness can really age and damage the skin. Excessive radiation. This is why we emphasize so much the use of sunscreens, because you can really protect your skin. Wearing long sleeve clothing, like utilizing the shade. If it's too cold, don't go out with your skin exposed. Just a really common basic sense that really protects the skin, and using the right moisturizers, I think is a very good basic first step.
Okay, what about sunscreen? We hear so much about it. SPF 15, SPF 28, SPF 442. I mean, what do we use?
It's so much, so complicated.
It really is complicated. And I think since the FDA has changed a lot of the regulations, it's actually even become more complicated. But some basic things that we can think about. First, you have to think about, is it a physical blocker, like a zinc titanium, or is it chemical? Like all those fancy chemicals like oxybenzone, avobenzone. So there's two classes of sunscreen. If you were to go with the zinc titanium one, the good news is that it's very long acting. But a lot of times, especially with ethnic girls, we don't want to have something white and pasty on us. So I use ones that are a little tinted, or you can actually put your own makeup in it, rub it in, and apply it.
Mixed in with the...
Yeah, you can put a little bit of your sunscreen, put your makeup in, and just kind of blend it in.
Wow.
Yeah, so it matches your skin tone, because no one wants to look around like looking like yogurt on their face.
Well, no, again.
Maybe.
Yeah.
As far as chemical sunscreens, that's where it gets a little trickier because they can actually get denatured in the sun. So when you go outside within an hour, they may no longer be protecting you.
Interesting.
And that's where it becomes really tricky because is it water resistant? How long it lasts? So the rule of thumb is if you're going to be active and you're going to be outdoors, every 2 hours reapply it and use something that's 30 and over because that's really when it makes a big difference. And using a sunscreen, I think a brand is really important. And I wouldn't go for fancy bottles. I would go for companies that are reputable and have spent a lot of time in researching sunscreens because it's really important that it doesn't wear out.
That sounds interesting.
And it doesn't actually cause acne, breakout, and things like that. So I think that's a really good place to start.
Yeah, and having that over excessive sun exposure, especially being here in Santa Monica by the beach, everyone's out even just simply. You know, after you spend time in the sun, you might have some peeling or burning. Is there something you suggest for that, like aloe vera, or is there something you can just carry along with you as you're hanging out at the beach?
Well, first sunscreen.
Yeah, of course.
And then hats.
And then hats.
But once you do get a sunburn, I think it's really important to soothe the skin. So
Okay.
I think aloe vera is a really good choice, but you have to make sure that it's not too much of an alcohol based. A lot of them are very alcohol based. And like actually natural oils are really good, like coconut or olive oil, you can rub that on. And you can take aspirin, which is an anti-inflammatory, and vitamin E and vitamin C, which are antioxidants, to help you with it.
Oh, fantastic.
Now, is there a difference between a SPF for children? Should it be higher, lower? Because my grandkids are actually not just children of color, they're Korean, African American, and Indian.
Yeah.
So the combination is really hard.
Yeah.
So what do I put on them,
Right,
right?
yeah.
I just get the highest number,
Yeah.
and that's what I do. I go
Yeah.
to the shelf and get the highest number to put on them.
Yeah.
But is there a difference?
That's a good question. So I think with kids, we're most careful not to expose them to chemicals. So that's why a lot of the zinc titanium ones are a good choice because you can put them on. And I think with kids, you know, honestly, I think it's so important to keep them out of excessive radiation because it's really hard for kids to rub things on and keep it on. They're so active, they sweat, they rub, they slobber. So, you know, if you're going to take your kids out, it's better not to take them out at noon in the sun because that's the highest UV exposure. But at 3 or 4 o'clock, there's less. So they can still go to the beach and have fun, but it doesn't have to be like an hour in the peak sun. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, it does. And speaking of little kids, and I was just thinking hydration. Can you speak a little bit about hydration in the skin, especially during the heat and the sun?
Yes. So I think there's a misnomer that if you drink a lot of water, your skin's going to just magically hydrate. That doesn't happen that way.
What?
You mean it doesn't?
Come again?
In fact, your skin is the hydration in the skin is mostly fats.
Are you looking at me when you said that? Figures.
Hubba, Dina.
All right.
Yes, you definitely are very fat.
Yes.
You mean like omegas? Like, are you thinking like
no, actually,
nutrition?
there's a natural fat in the skin. So we have cholesterol and all sorts of, but there's a natural fat called ceramide.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we naturally make to make an envelope around the outer shell of the skin to protect it from excessive drying. And in certain skin conditions that are genetic, there actually is a deficiency in the gene, so they don't make as much ceramide. And those are the people who have a lot of eczema, as you
Or
know,
psoriasis,
not,
maybe?
but
Not psor-
atopic dermatitis, eczema. And so those people are constantly drying out and they can't get enough lubrication on. So it's really, really important to be able to hydrate the skin, but hydration isn't just drinking water, it's being able to apply the right moisturizers and keeping it from getting dehydrated. And the environment can be very dehydrating. So that's where like common sense is really important. And I always tell people, you know, if you look at like the equator where it has a lot of sun, all the colored girls know to cover themselves, right? They're not walking around with bikinis, right? all the light, fair people who come to the tropical environment, they wear bikinis and they show their legs and they spend hours in the sun. And that can really, I mean, just like that's how leather is made, right? Skin that's left out in the sun. So it can really damage you over time. And UV damage is accumulative. So it's not what you do today, but it's what you do over and over and over
time.
Cumulative. Yeah, that makes a big difference.
So then hydrating mists are good, like just having something you can spray on your face? Or
You can definitely spray your face with water, but I would be careful not to wash off your sunscreen in that process.
Yeah, then you have to reapply. Just remember to reapply every 2 hours.
Yeah, but it's definitely nice to cool down.
Yeah, I remember my aunt, she used to make this really cool tincture of cucumber. She would soak cucumber, and then she's put lavender in there. She's put geranium, like oils. Put oils in filtered water and sprayed it on us as kids. You know, so.
Definitely smells good. Yeah, you have to be careful using things that are sensitizing you to the sun. So for example, citrus is something that can really sensitize you. So a lot of times you get people who are like, oh my gosh, I have no idea how I got this rash, but it's because they were like drinking margaritas and were doing shots and the lime fell on them. And then 2 weeks later, they have this horrible exotic disease.
I didn't figure. She's hearing all of this stuff. She's probably got some great stories, you guys. You know, she's got great stories. That's true.
Wow.
Well, as women, our skin is obviously different than men, and we do things to it every day by putting on makeup and foundation. What should and should we not do when it comes to our beauty regimen?
Okay, I think that's a good question, but I think overall we do better as women with taking care of our health. Like men are really not good with taking care of themselves.
They stink, don't they?
Well, I don't know if we can say that on TV. But sometimes they do because they're really poor with hygiene too. But having said that, I think that because we do apply a lot of stuff to us, we have to be careful that it's hypoallergenic, reputable. And I think that one of the trends in the industry is now like a celebrity endorsing something. You know, they're not skin experts. They're just celebrities, right? Or really fancy bottles with great marketing campaigns behind them. So I think we have to be very intelligent about what we're putting on and being very careful about taking it off at night, like washing your face before you go to bed and moisturizing it. It's a huge thing, especially if you're working out and exercising. Your pores can get clogged up and then you break out with acne.
Right.
Wow.
Is it better to then cleanse your face before a workout? Like you shouldn't be working out with makeup.
You know, I think it's better always to take off your makeup. Okay, and after you're done with a workout, wash it. Like as soon as you can, get in the shower, especially if you're working out with other people around you, because their sweat carries bacteria, fungus, whatever they're growing on you, and now you're exposed to it, and it's on your skin, and you're just cruising with it back to your place, right? So I think like that is something that's very important as we start doing activities together as a group, like yoga or any kind of competitive sports where you're touching each other in a sweaty environment. But another thing that I see that really in terms of what not to do is doing these like latest fads. Okay, because like it was like a great idea on Groupon or a great idea because somebody gave you a gift certificate. I can't tell you how many disasters I've seen by like do it yourself or give it to someone who's not a trained professional. And this is especially true if you are of colored skin because our skin's not so forgiving. And I've seen people who are, you know, dark skin, African American, they're like, oh, what would be great is to get a TCA peel, for example. And they order on Amazon, it arrives and they show up like a marble cake. And it's so hard to be able to go back once the damage is done. Or people who are like, I thought it was a great idea to get this laser treatment. It was only $50, right? And they went to somewhere and they have permanent scarring and ulceration. So I think like just like you wouldn't go to a butcher and say, you know what, I broke my knee, could you put this together? Right, like treating the skin is like an organ, I think, is a good way to think about it. It's an organ, so if there's something that you're trying to change about it, let's start medically, right? Acne is a medical condition. You need medication for it. You know, it's not a beauty regimen that necessarily needs to be changed. Maybe it's your hormones, maybe it's like the oiliness of the skin, and those things can be controlled with medication. And I think just really utilizing our own expertise in the field as dermatologists, we can see that we actually save people a lot of money. Because they're not buying $1,000 worth of stuff before they've gotten a prescription that might have been even covered by their insurance.
In addition, you're developing self-esteem, you know, it's the first thing people see. And especially as a teenager, you know, just knowing that you're getting that treatment and somebody cares goes a long way.
It does. And not just even for teenagers, but you're right. I think it's just so hard on teenagers now because they're asked to be perfect every day.
Right.
Yes.
But
the peer pressure.
Yes. But you just basically gave us something that we all need to know. Our skin is our first line of defense. It's what people see, so we have to protect it with sunscreen. We have to make sure before doing anything stupid because it's cheap, go to a professional. Don't just buy something that has a coupon. And we really need to take care of our skin, hydrate, and it's not just drinking water. Dr. Carmelli, we thank you so much for joining us today.
This is so much fun.
You are fantastic. We can talk to you for hours.
Thank
You're
you.
just fabulous, and we hope
happy
you'll
hour
come
up.
again. Fantastic. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We will be right back with our next guest.
Discover 30 years of opera in Santa Monica. Discover the Verdi Chorus.
Now joining us is Steness Jonikis, women's health advocate and author of Eat Like a Woman. Steness, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to meet you ladies and
Likewise.
chat about women.
Yeah.
Oh, we are just so thrilled about that. Now, I know we would all like to know what inspired you to write your bestseller, Eat Like a Woman.
You know, as life has unexpected turns, and sometimes things drop in front of you because you have a new path to walk on. When I was 46, I was producing a show called Celebrity Fit Club. Everything was great, never married, life was good, and I met my Prince Charming, and then I slammed into menopause. And I gained...
What a bummer.
Bummer. I know, I finally meet Prince Charming. Right before our wedding, I gained 30 pounds.
Wow.
And so I had to leave the production of Celebrity Fit Club for VH1, and I was having a hard time. Doctors weren't able to manage my symptoms, and I was gaining weight every day. The wedding dress I bought was, I outgrew it. I looked like an overstuffed sausage in my wedding dress. I was bridezilla. I mean, my poor fiance, I thought, I finally meet the man of my dreams, and he's gonna run. So nobody was able to help me, and so I decided to, you know, my wedding planner was making my wedding go really nicely, and I thought, why isn't there like a planner for menopause? So I created this planner. You know, planner says do this, do that, and there was like no menopause planner. So I created this. I lost 25, 30 pounds in 12 weeks. I got my symptoms managed, and everybody said, what did you do? And so I ended up writing a book called The Menopause Makeover. And it, thank you, and it helped women all over the world. But what was happening is women were losing weight everywhere. They were just getting to their healthy weight. It wasn't about getting skinny. It was about getting to their healthy weight. I had a woman in London call, and she emailed, and she lost 84 pounds in 6 months. She'd had a heart attack, and her doctor said, if you don't lose the weight, you won't make it to your next birthday. And I got calls from women who had babies, and they were dropping weight. So my publisher says, something's going on with this food program. You need to write another book. So I now have left television, and I'm now writing women's health books, and it was just completely unexpected. I never thought I'd get married. I was 46. I thought those chances are over. But I met a great guy, and then I wrote these books. Anyway, so I got, you know, they hired me to write Eat Like a Woman. And as I started researching why my program was working, what I found out is that virtually all research on treatments, medication, and nutrition has been done using men. And this is why women, like I say this all the time, my husband loses weight on my diet. And so, you know, men are getting skinny and women are getting mad. So basically, it's not one size fits all, right? Like the weight loss industry has completely overlooked the most obvious distinction there is. Men and women are not only very different, but we lose weight differently, and our health needs to be managed differently. And so I started digging really deeply, and I thought, I'm going to find all these sex differences, and I'm going to find this science and put a program. I already had the program, but put it to work so that women were motivated by sex differences to make choices that are best for women. Like there's a famous aspirin study for cardiovascular health, and it was done all on men. Now, ironically, heart disease has dropped for men, and yet it's the #1 killer for women.
That's exactly
There were no women in that study. The nutritional dietary standards, same thing, all based on studies of men, except pregnancy and lactation. Hormone therapy before the Women's Health Initiative was done on men.
Well, that makes a lot of sense.
It was done on men. Hormone therapy for menopause was done on men before the Women's Health Initiative.
That's fantastic.
And so I'm like, this is a crime. And so there's really none of this science is. It's just coming in the pipeline, but it's not out to the public. Doctors aren't practicing it. They're not teaching it in medical schools. So part of Eating Like a Woman is an advocacy that as women, we need to take a stand for women being included in research. We need to ask our doctors, if you're giving me a treatment or suggesting a nutritional change, has that research been done on women? Because if it hasn't, it may not work.
Yeah, and you know,
Right.
that's really great
Right.
what you're mentioning, because when you do go into a doctor's visit, a lot of times women are just passing over the torch, like, tell me what's wrong with me, tell me what I need to, but if you go in with a proactive agenda,
That's right.
and you say, you know, I'm taking this vitamin,
Yeah.
I've tried this, I've tried that, I think you get a better result, right?
Well, exactly.
Okay.
I mean, we all have to be advocates when we're
Right.
when we're at the doctor's office, for sure. But I think we're in the dark ages when it comes to women's health. We're just coming. There's a little glimmer of light where some research is coming out. So some really fascinating sex differences. It takes a woman 47 hours to completely digest a meal. It takes a man 33. It takes a woman an hour longer to empty her stomach after a meal. A woman absorbs nutrients and medications very differently than men, like Ambien, the sleeping drug.
Yes.
They just found out, the FDA finally approved that they had to give women half a dose because women were overdosing on a sleeping drug. Why? We absorb more
Right.
slowly, and we absorb very differently than a man. Our bodies are designed to hold every piece of carbohydrates and fat that we can.
Yes.
So it's like when we say, oh, don't eat that donut, it's going to your hips. Oh, it's going to your hips. I promise
Hey,
you.
we didn't need scientific research to prove
That's
that,
right. It's
but
really
yes.
going to your hips.
Oh dear.
And women are more prone to depression because we make less serotonin.
Right.
Women suffer from insomnia more than men.
Yes.
So once I collected all the sex differences, I'm like, okay, so here are these differences. How do we take the science we have and apply it to the sex differences so it works for women and it motivates women to make new choices? For example, men absorb tryptophan from tryptophan-rich foods. Tryptophan is what is a precursor to serotonin, that feel-good hormone.
Yes.
They absorb that better than women. Now, women, ironically, make 30% less serotonin than men, which is why we're prone to moodiness and depression. So what does that mean for women? We have to eat a lot of tryptophan-rich foods, and we need to include them in every meal. That's like turkey, chicken, yogurt, eggs, and it's simple. Like you get up in the morning and you have a hard-boiled egg and some toast. That all sounds logical.
Yes.
But let me just tell you something. In 60 to 90 minutes, you're going to boost your mood because your serotonin is being released. And if you eat it with a low to medium glycemic carb, it just totally ushers it up into your brain. And it's like, oh, it's all excellent, right? So tryptophan is very important for women to boost their mood. Women and men absorb supplemental omega-3s differently. What does that mean to women? It means that we have to get omega-3s from real food. Now, we were just talking about beauty. Omega-3 is critical to the aging process, to healthy joints, to heart health. It can lower your blood pressure. So if you're expecting omega-3 supplements to be doing that for you as a woman, you're not getting near the benefits that you would if you're eating real food. It's very important to get your omega-3s from real food.
Right. You just said we don't digest or absorb
That's
the same
exactly
way.
right.
So what foods are we talking about?
You know, eggs, yogurt, salmon, tunas. But, you know, because heart disease is #1 for women now, omega-3 is really important. And it's great to take supplements, but really include omega-3s. Walnuts, grab some walnuts in your diet. Simple little changes like that. Women have a deeper limbic system of their brain. That's the emotional seat of our brain.
And that's the part that's like, my gut, I don't feel good about this.
Exactly,
You know,
the
everything
emotional part.
Right, the emotional part. And that, a lot of us are fueled. We just operate from that
Well,
place.
and as women especially, we're designed to have emotional responses because we're genetically created to take care of a family and the tribe and the kids and the everything. And so, but what it really means in the world of food is that women are prone to emotional eating.
Yeah,
Women
I could
actually
see.
have a relationship with food.
I've had a very long relationship with
Yes, me too.
It's been going on for all my life, and I don't see it ending anytime soon.
No.
Oh,
And then
God, you're
also,
so funny.
she's funny. And also, like during, like, you know, your menstrual cycle,
That's
just
right.
the whole shift that happens
That's right,
emotionally and
hormones.
hormonally.
That's right.
And yeah, absolutely. And that dynamic that you have toward the food, that's interesting.
Yeah.
And you know, I was thinking your story, it's like necessity is a mother of invention, right?
That's
There's
right.
that idea. What would you say to a woman that, you know, may have been in your position, how you were at that time, you know? In this place where gained all this weight,
Yeah.
you know, at this turning point, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Can you suggest like 2 or 3 things just to kind of keep
You
her?
mean
Like
you mean like a weight loss
like how you
tip
were
or-
back that kind of opened your path up?
Oh, well,
Yeah.
I mean, when I was gaining weight and menopausal and hormonal, it was terrible. I mean, I was watching Oprah with a bottle of wine and a slab of brie cheese. I'm not kidding you, and a box of crackers. I was depressed, and I was, and there's that thing, that deeper limbic area,
Right.
emotional eating. So one of the important things women can include in their world is protein. It's rich in
Okay, good.
tryptophan.
There we go.
Because women aren't absorbing protein as well as men are, we really need more of it. Now, protein
Okay.
doesn't necessarily mean meat. A complete protein.
Like tofu and
Tofu is actually a plant food, but it's a complete protein.
okay.
Beans and other things are incomplete protein. So you have to, I know you've been doing vegetarian a little bit,
Yes,
so you
yes.
understand the balance.
I do understand, and I wish we could talk about this forever because this is so
I know.
fascinating.
It is.
Obviously, your book is the way to go.
Yes,
We are-
yes,
we,
yes.
we learned
Find
we
more
have
info
to eat
there.
like a woman, and definitely we can do it at any age.
That's
so,
right.
Stennis, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
for
you.
We had
informing us.
Two fabulous guests joining us today, so we all know that we need to take care of ourselves both inside and out. And there are women out there being advocates for us, so let's do it for ourselves. We'll see you next time.